So, hello, Michael. How is it going for you at the moment?
It's good. It's just the weather sucks.
So, overall, how has this past year been to you?
It was okay. It's for a band like us. It's not unusual to have longer phases off, but of course it wasn't planned like that. That makes it different. We had different plans with the. We wanted to be on tour last year, but that's for everybody. Yeah, we're all in the same boat, and yeah, it's something you can learn a lot in these times. You can learn a lot about people, and about yourself. Of course, a lot of things are horrible when it comes to people dying and stuff like that. But it's also a time where you can really grow and learn. What's sick and wrong about our societies and in various layers and areas.
Is there something new that you have actually learned from yourself during these times?
Yeah, when something like that happens, when you in a time where I don't know if I have the right English words for it, but when you have this sort of fears going around everywhere, and everywhere you go, people try to force you into their religion, whether the popes. You really need to stand on your own mental feet. You really have to force yourself to think straight and to make your own decisions. Otherwise, you just get pulled with whatever is influencing you, and I think it made me a little clearer and stronger, because you either go with the flow and then you go insane in the various directions people go insane right now, or you learn to think straight for yourself. And I strongly believe in times like these, when there are like I don't know the English word for it, like tests. How do you call it when you go through something that is testing you?
Yeah, test of time, sort of.
Yeah. It'll always be like that. You either get sucked in by the global kind of forces, or you start thinking for yourself, and it kind of isolates you, because to a certain extent, you need to free yourself from all these people that try to force their opinions over you, and they know, of course they know, everybody knows, The reality, in my opinion, is that we've become such wimp generations. We just so weak, and we're so used to not have any experiences like that. We don't know wars. We haven't had experiences like pandemics. So people freak out. In the reality, they're just scared. But it doesn't look nice to admit that you're scared. So they cover it up with all these ideas that are bubbling up in their heads. And the movie
I
industry,
also believe that it's sort of like also media who is a lot behind this, because media sort of feeds fear.
Absolutely.
For those who are feared.
This is like the biggest disease, the media. The media is so full of shit.
Yeah, it is.
They lie. They just want our attention. Did you notice when you look at newspapers that the headlines are like 80% of the time now, they're lies.
Yeah,
the headline is a line, and you read the article.
That's what I've actually learned a lot during these times, that I've sort of learned to figure out the truth myself, and not believing everything I read. Obviously,
what I mean with the lies,
always, but yeah.
With the lies, is they don't lie necessarily in the article, but the headline is a consciously placed lie to draw your attention.
Yeah.
And then you read the article, and it doesn't say anything like that in it. And we have to do something against it. We have to ban all those magazines that call themselves newspapers, that are proving themselves like having no conscience. We have to ban them. Don't read them. Just ignore them. Force them to be honest. We need some information. There's no democracy possible if you can't trust any news anymore. If they all just make politics, if they all just serve certain parties and bring their opinions, and not having that conscience of trying to be as truthful and objective as possible, they're destroying any democracy. It's not possible that way.
Yeah. I've actually blocked all those yellow papers from my Facebook. There's an option that you can sort of sort out all that crap. Yeah.
But this is the good side of this pandemic, in my opinion. It shows how sick certain areas are, how much the lie and mind control has become big. It has been there before, but it comes to the forefront a lot clearer now because of these extreme situations. So that's something we can wake up to,
Yeah, for sure. So obviously we are doing the interview because Helloween is about to
bring it in.
Yeah, Helloween is about to drop the self-titled album on June 18th. So first of all, before digging into the album, I want to ask a bit about the times you sort of reformed the band again with this lineup. So how did it actually happen? Because there were times in the press where you said that I won't ever join Helloween again.
And that wasn't possible in those times. It was definitely, I was completely serious about it. I couldn't understand that anyone after what went down within the band, I couldn't understand in those years, how anyone could even think about it. But I understand why fans feel that way to a certain extent, but it wasn't possible for me. And it was a very, very long process. It was not something that happened overnight. I always tell these steps how it came together in a quick way. To me, one magic moment was when I was on tour with Avantasia in 2013, and we played on a festival, and on that festival also Helloween played. And backstage, I ran into Michael Kiske.
Okay.
And he was the guy I had the main problems with, okay? It was not Kai and anyone else, it was mainly him. And I ran into him, and he said the perfect line. He looked me in the eyes and he said, "What have I done that you can't forgive me?" And I was kind of holding my breath, and I was reaching into myself, and I've noticed there's no anger anymore. It sort of faded away over the years without me noticing. I was still in the same sort of thoughts circling that I was for 20 years or something like that. And I've just noticed there's no anger anymore. And I told him, you can ask him. I mean, it was exactly those words that I said, "I think I've forgiven you a long time ago." And we didn't talk any further. There was no talk about reunions or anything like that. But to me was a turning point, because I've noticed the anger is gone, and I can tell you now why. Because when I look at those years after the Helloween split, or after the Helloween part of myself, those years were extremely important to me. I learned so much being on my own, having to make my own living with solo records that no one cared about. It's difficult, but I learned so much out of it. And I dived into philosophy. I dived into spirituality. My whole person gained so much from those years, even though they were painful in many ways. I learned so much that I cannot possibly be angry anymore, at the one who sort of, I don't think it was really him. It was meant to be. It was something that needed to happen in my lifetime. I just need to get out of it. And even the war that I was leading against the metal scene, against the music scene in general, all that was very important. It was important to shape my personality,
it was part of your growing up as a musician.
Absolutely. I needed that. But to get back to your question, that was to me the first turning point, because I've noticed something has changed here. But no talk about reunions or anything like that. And like 2 years later, we played 3 shows in Spain with Unisonic. It was great shows, great fun, not big venues, about maybe 2,000 people or something like that, Great shows, great fun. Unisonic was at a peak by that time in terms of getting together as a band and stuff. And backstage on one of those shows, Kai Hansen, who actually wanted to do this a long time ago, said, "Michael, one day we got to do something with Helloween again, before we're too old." And then I said, "You know what? I'm open." And that was the real starting point, because Costa Seferia, who played the drums in Unisonic, he's also part of the management that Helloween is managed by and Unisonic was managed by. And he said, "What do you think is going to happen when I say that in the office?" And he did that. He was mentioning my statement in the office, and then Jan Bayati, who is the manager of Helloween, called me up and wanted to know how serious I am about this, and if I could really consider something like that. I said, "Yeah, I think I could," because of that experience that I had. And then he wanted me to have a long conversation with Waiki, which I did. We talked for hours. Cleared it all out. It was pretty clear that there was nothing really objectively going on, as usual. It was just, crazy forces going on because, like I said, it was meant to be. And that was still not. It was still not the place to make any real plans. Jan then said, "You gotta spend some time with Andy Derris, because if you don't get along, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's never going to work."
But Andy has said in some interviews that his biggest dream was to have you three on stage together.
Which was interesting because there was actually interviews that I received a statement that he had given in an interview long before, where Andy said something like that, and I was like, "What is he talking about? Never doing anything like that." He wanted to do that, which was a great thing. But the thing is, we didn't know each other. We only knew each other from the distance. And of course, the situation created some sort of a negative spirit between the two of us without really knowing each other, just because of the situation. Every time when I saw his face in a magazine, he was the one who took my job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, of course.
And the other way around, when he saw my face, I was the one, what he always got from my fans, attacks who wanted to be in the band. So we both didn't have a good relationship, even though we didn't have one. We didn't know each other.
But there wasn't any media war at any point.
No, nothing like that. It was just because of the situation, He took my job, and I was the one he was always compared to.
Yeah, for sure.
So I flew over to Tenerife, and we spent something like 2 weeks together, almost every day, for hours. And we talked about everything, and it was so interesting. I'm a spiritual guy. I don't give a heck about religions. I think religions are the opposite to spirituality. I think they're the enemies of spirituality. They're the enemies of God. Okay, they're just fooling people. But spirituality to me means growth, mental and moral growth, and trying to get in touch with the spiritual world yourself. That's how I understand spirituality. It's a very individual thing. And that's why I have certain terms that I use for the experience that I had with him. I felt like I know him. We talked, and it felt like I know him. It felt like an old brother or something like that. I know it sounds completely cheesy when you say things like that, especially when you have a record coming out. You will certainly have people thinking that you just make these things up to make promotion. But who knows me knows that I don't talk about anything other than how I feel and how okay. And he felt the same way. It was like we knew each other from previous lives or something like that. And he did this. He said he was the guy actually who put it into words. He said, and you can ask him, I'm sure he remembers that. He said, "You either mirror my wife to me right now, who is a spiritual person, or I know you from previous lives," because we had this connection. And it was amazing. It felt really good. And that experience for Jan was what he needed to make serious thoughts in that direction. And then we did the first real meeting with all the band together, where everybody was brainstorming how he could see this happening and whatever. And of course, in the beginning, everybody was stiff. Everybody was insecure. We've had our past, and a lot of bullshit has been talked about, and in public, and probably among them as well. All that stuff doesn't really help, but everybody was positive, and we gave it all the time necessary. It took years, really, to get to the point that we actually said, okay, let's do this. And then we started rehearsing, and that felt great and stuff like that. And even then, we did not make any contracts further, going beyond the touring. We just made contracts for this tour. So when this tour was over, everybody could go his own way, if things didn't work out, because being on tour is the biggest test.
Yeah, for sure.
You're under constant stress, and you're always together, and everybody is under individual pressure, So it's like, but it went down perfect. Even though I was like sick, really sick, I caught something right from the start, which completely knocked me off vocal-wise. It was not a nice way of starting a tour. And they talked me into something that didn't work out, but it didn't matter. I was fine like after the first 2 shows again, because I've seen a doctor in Mexico and he gave me medication, and it was good. But then I caught a real virus in South America, and I carried that with me through the whole tour. Right? Because I didn't take the break that I should have been taking. I should have been off for like 3 weeks or something to get through it, and I didn't. So it got worse, and it got into my muscles and stuff like that. For me, it was a nightmare. It was really heavy, but the tour was great. The audience was great. So we kept on going, but it was tough. But we went through it as a band without any problems. There wasn't even any louder discussion or anything like that. Everything went down totally fine, and everybody was positive. So when that tour in 2017 was over, we made that decision. This seems to be working. This seems to be the right thing to do. So we made that decision to consider an album, and we still had touring to do. 2018, in my opinion, was way better than 2017, because in 2018, we actually ended up feeling like a band. I was fine there, and we felt a lot more as a band, a lot more safe, a lot more secure about what we're doing. So everything we did in 18, I thought was way better. It was mainly festivals, really. We did Japan for about 2 weeks or something. Andy was very sick there, actually. So I had to put more songs on my shoulder to get him through. It happens, it just happens. But what I'm trying to say is that was the big test for the band. After that was working out, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
After that was working out, we made further plans that we could make an album,
Okay, so that was the point where you actually started discussing that we should make an album together.
I think we made that decision either at the end of 17 or somewhere early 18 or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. So speaking about like the upcoming album, obviously you have 3 vocalists in the band, and for the writing process, I guess almost every band member was involved. So what kind of like process it was for you?
I didn't. I didn't even try, because I think even though I was like, even on the Keeper records, I added some stuff to it which gave a little extra color, and like 2 or 3 songs that I have written for the band, they were actually quite successful. But I still think that Kai, Waiki, and Andy are basically the key songwriters in this band to me. Like they have written the most important stuff that I felt like they should write. We have enough songwriters. We have like 6 people potentially able to write songs, and I didn't feel like that I have to contribute. And it was true. It turns out great, the way it is. Maybe in the future I might even add something, but not. I didn't feel like it right now. So I make an acoustic album. That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay. Yeah. So speaking about the writing process, did you have like loads of material to choose from, which actually will end up on the album?
Yeah, we did. The very first, after we made that decision, we made a brainstorm session about the ideas people were collecting like over 2018. And we did that in April 2019, I think. We got together in Hamburg. And everybody was playing the ideas, and I already knew, wow, this is going to work, because I thought it was all great. Kai didn't have anything by that time. Pretty lazy dude sometimes. He came very late with Skyfall. At least that one is really cool. But he was the only one who didn't have anything, and everybody else had songs. And I just knew right away. I didn't understand 2 of the songs Waiki was suggesting, which was Robert King and Down in the Dumps, and he did the vocals himself on the demos, and I just did not understand what he was trying to do. He sounds like like a burning witch, like you burn a witch. Those noises that come out of it, that's pretty much his vocals on his demos. It's like you can't even make out melodies, it's like. So I did not know what to think about it. Everybody actually in the band said, "Don't worry, this is going to be fine. We know his demos. We know what it sounds like. Don't worry about it." So I didn't, and it turned out cool. It turned out okay. I mean, they're crazy songs, but they on the album they make sense, But
so how was it like? How was it like to sort of balance between the three singers when it comes to like the song structures and such? Was it an easy task or?
Yeah, it was easy. Originally, it was never the plan to have Kai as a vocalist. When we got together and we made that plan, we never talked about Kai. Live, we wanted to have him that spot, with the Walter Jericho sort of medley that he was doing. That was something we wanted to do. But on the album, it was actually never planned like that. He made that decision that he wanted to sing as well, which is okay. It adds an extra color, But it turned out, especially between me and Andy, it was no problem at all. It was very easy. We had Dennis Ward making a kind of a pre-draft. It's always good when someone outside of the band makes some sort of basic plan of how things could go down. He knows my singing. I've been with him working in Plasman Dome. I've been with him in Unisonic. He knows my voice, and he's been with Andy in Pink Cream 69, so he knows his voice. So it was perfect. He was making splittings how he thought it could work out in each song, and that's how we started it. That's how we recorded vocals. But it was nothing written in stone. If I felt like, I don't feel comfortable with this part, you should give it a try, I passed it on to him, and he tried it out. And the other way around. There were situations when he did vocals for something and he felt, Michael should try that one as well, because I could imagine that this sounds cool. And it was perfect. I did the vocals in Tenerife in his studio with Charlie and Dennis. And it was just a perfect way of, I think, the perfect way of doing this, because there was no competition. It was just about trying to figure out what works the best for the song and how the strengths of the singers get through the best, because we are different in the way we sing. There are certain things that I can shine, and there are other things where he can shine. So that was all that we cared about, and I think that's why it works so well. It just very organically came together,
Yeah, I was actually wondering if you made like loads of different like demo versions when it comes to like singing. That hey, you'll try this part and I'll try this part, and let's switch here and let's try this and this and this. But
a lot less
it didn't go like that.
A lot less than I thought, because there was a couple of songs that were right away, like for instance, Angels. It was Sasha wanted me to sing that song. He made the demo. He sent me the demo in 2019, and he wanted me to sing on it. And he said, "I wrote that song for your voice." So that was clear. And there was Out for the Glory. It was pretty obvious. I mean, they tried it before. It's not a new song. It's a song that they tried on a previous record, and it didn't work out. And when I sang the song, it worked out right away. It was almost like the song was waiting for me, and we had a lot of those cases where it was pretty clear right away that's a Kiske song or that's an Andy song. There have been especially songs from Andy that he has written where I said, I'm not even going to try it because it sounds so right when you sing it. This is just your thing, you just got to do it. And so it was quite easy. It was just a few spots where we thought we'd give it both a try, or where I swapped over to him or he swapped over to me. But most of the time it was actually quite easy, because most of the time what I sing like and what Andy sings like, and when you're a musician and you do that for a while, you have a good instinct for how things could work out. Sometimes you have to try it out, but it got quite quick together. It was much, much easier than I would have thought.
Yeah, the result is actually like really epic, and I actually really enjoyed listening to it. So I'm pleased what I'm hearing. So obviously the record drops on June 18th. But what will happen after that for the band? Will you like wait before the touring is possible again to hit the road, or have you talked about doing some streaming or?
It's possible. No, of course we have to wait. I mean, there's nothing you can do. You just have to wait.
But have you thought about doing a live stream show, or is that something that is out of option at this? No,
I don't want to do that at all. I think it doesn't have anything to do with life. When you do something like that, it's a video. You shoot a video. That's what it is. You can do that, of course, but it has nothing to do with life. There is no live concert without an audience. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, for sure.
So we will be. I hope we don't do something like that. I mean, of course, if the band wants to do it, of course I have to do it too. But I would love to avoid. I don't like videos. I don't like video shoots. I have a video shoot in about 2 weeks for another video that we're doing, and I already hate it. I can't stand it. It's just I was trying to get them to have like paper puppets playing the roles of us because I thought it would be funny and stuff. But they just never want to do things like that. They always have their certain things in their head, how things must be done, and I hate videos. I passionately hate videos. But in terms of the life situation, we just have to wait and see. It'll be over sooner or later. I mean, things like that, they suck, and it seems like they go forever, but they go over. They're not there forever. It's gonna pass, and we just have to wait. And it's one of those things. Everybody is in the same boat here. It doesn't matter if it's John Mayer or Katy Perry or Metallica, you know what I mean? They all can't tour right now. Everybody is.
Yeah, same situation for all. Waiting.
Yeah. But I'm pretty positive next year stuff will be possible. I don't know how quickly things in terms of live playing will go back to the way it was. Nobody really knows. You have to see what happens. But I'm pretty sure next year latest, things will start to get possible again. I'm pretty sure about that.
So in the end, I want to ask you a bit about what's happening for you outside Helloween. So you said you have an acoustic album in the works. Is that something that you have been doing during this pandemic time, or?
Yeah, because I didn't want to just sit around and wait, and I can't just listen to music. I did that for a long time last year. I was updating my surround system, and I was buying super audio CDs, with this high resolution surround stuff, mainly classical music. And I was it was a ritual, like every day for hours until my ears started to hurt. I was listening to music. And then I kind of felt like, you know what, I'm going to do something. I have my little studio down there where I have everything I need. And I have lots of songs that I had collected over the years. And I will make an album, plainly acoustic. It'll be, I try to make things simple and small, nothing overproduced or anything, like the opposite to the Helloween record. It'll be all just be as minimal as possible, so that the song still works or works even better. It'll be like 50-50 probably. I will record some of the I will cover some songs that I like, songs that I love very much. Not metal songs at all, songs from completely different areas. Billy Joel, I don't have an Elvis song at the moment, which is funny. You would have thought that I would do mainly Elvis tracks, but I haven't yet. It's other songs. Like songs I grew up with from the 70s and 80s mainly, actually completely. So I'll do a bunch of those in my way, and I will have my own songs, like maybe 5, 6, 7 of them, something like that.
Okay, so it will be a mix.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you a lot, Michael, for your time, and all the best for the future. Anything you want to say as last words to all the Helloween fans watching this afterwards?
Oh, I didn't hear the answer. It was dropping out. I didn't hear the question. Can you repeat it again?
So yeah, I was thanking you for doing the interview, and wanted to ask that, is there some last words you want to say to all the Helloween fans worldwide?
I want to say that to everybody. Don't get sucked in by all this negativity. Really, you got to stay positive. It's a sign of weakness. It's a sign of weakness when people only believe in evil there and evil there, and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And then they just have these, it's their own darkness that they project into other people's most of the time out of their fears, and people should stay positive. None of that happens without a reason. We violate the nature. We are all just selfish and only think for as far as our nose is long, as we say in Germany,
Yeah.
And we got to change many things. And a situation like this is a good chance to see where we have to fix things, where we have to change things. You got to be positive. And I think one extremely important thing we really have to talk about, and we have to try to do something about, which we can, if people are aware of it, is the news, the information, the media, because it's a disease. It's the biggest virus.
Yeah, it sure is. I agree.
Yeah.
So, hey, thanks a lot for the time, and hope to see you in Finland sometime next year
we
supporting the
play
album.
Definitely. That's going to happen. Finland is always great. I remember that.